Hello and welcome to the Checkpoint. I'm Louis Mendy, your presenter. Well, on the Checkpoint tonight is lawyer Ousainou Darboe, the Gambia Foreign Affairs Minister, who also doubles as the leader of the United Democratic Party. When the Checkpoint asked Mr. Darboe whether he still has the desire to become president, "I'm not desperate," he replied. For more on this interview, follow Ablaisi.
Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Minister of Foreign Affairs, welcome to the Checkpoint.
Thank you very much.
We start with the obvious. What is the Gambia's ultimate foreign policy goal?
Well, Gambia's ultimate foreign policy goal is to promote Gambia's interest.
Like?
In every sector. Yeah. Forging a good relationship with all nations, and paving the way for other ministries, other sectors, to enter the world, to pursue Gambia's legitimate interest in the sectors which fall within their responsibilities.
Okay.
So our ultimate goal is really to put Gambia prominent among the community of nations, and really to push Gambia's interest with all legitimate means.
The former government or president was accused of not playing to international standards. That is, they isolated the Gambia due to their policies. Is there not a danger that this current government is too cozy with the international community, that they could compromise the sovereignty of the Gambia?
Isolationism is what is dangerous, which, as you have rightly pointed out, that was the hallmark of the past regime. So we are breaking that isolation. We want Gambia to come back into the fold of the community of nations, to pursue the interests of the Gambia. After all, you cannot, in an isolationist position, do anything that will benefit the Gambia. You just continue to create, I wouldn't call enemies, but to create opposition, to your country, and will just be breaking fences. And those fences that have been broken is what we are now mending, and then also making sure that the isolation comes to an end.
How far is it going?
It's going pretty well. Recently we've just been admitted to the Commonwealth of Nations. Our position in the AU, we are now being listed to as a responsible state. So are we in ECOWAS? So are we United Nations? Time was when Gambia was fond of engage in tirades, in belligerent approaches, to issues, and we are not doing that.
Okay, good. Recently, your former ally, Wajwara, accused you or blamed you for prolonging President Jammeh's stay in power. What's your response?
You see, this is a very hard question. Hard in the sense that I don't like to deal with irrelevancies. Jawara is very irrelevant.
Wajwara is very irrelevant.
Very irrelevant. What has he to offer? What was he saying? A man who...
But you don't think somebody who was your ally...
Can I land, please? A person who went out and said he was forming a party, could even hold one general meeting. You think such a person is serious? A person whose party, did not even command the size of the Gambia Red Cross. Gambia Red Cross is larger than so that's a very irrelevant person. But who went to join Jammeh? He worked for Jammeh as a Brikama Area Council. In fact, he lowered himself. That just shows how irrelevant he was. This leader of a political party, he said he was prepared to take on Jammeh, but he went and accepted nomination as member of the Brikama Area Council, promoting Gambias agenda. Went to Mansa Konko as governor, again promoting Gambias agenda in every aspect.
Yeah, but
served in his cabinet. Let me land and then you can follow up your question. Served on in his cabinet, promoting Gambia's agenda. He was on this medium, justifying the execution of people in this country. In fact, even the murder of one of those inmates, Ousainou Darboe, who was here supporting Jammeh, who was perpetuating Jammeh, telling everybody that Jammeh was the one who was following the right policies. I think, when what he's trying to do to try to get some attention, but he's so irrelevant that I do not think that I should. That's why I say this is a difficult question, because I want to deal with relevant issues, not irrelevant issues.
He's just speaking on this question because he was a former ally and he had been in your inner circle. If he should come out now and say such comments about you when he's been with you for so long, it makes a point on the side of your critics saying this was an ally, and now what he's saying.
You have to again size him up. Even though he was in the UDP.
Okay, we can move on.
Let me just deal with this ally thing. Even though he was in the UDP, but he was not what you call the inner circles. Juara doesn't know anything about it. Otherwise, if he knew, with the loose mouth and loud mouth that he is, he would have been saying that this is what UDP did, this is what UDP did. So he didn't know anything about UDP.
He was not part of the inner circle.
He was just there, filling a position, adding to the number, but he was not in the inner circle.
Okay, good. What's your position on the new government policy to control the use of government vehicles?
Well, the Minister of Finance is taking steps to put the economy on a very sound footing, discourage wasteful spending, and that essential users of the vehicles would continue to use the vehicles. It is not a policy that goes across the board at everybody. No, you have the essential users. People in the security, in the hospitals, field workers in the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, and the Lands Office. It is maybe non-essential users, and even those non-essential users will be using the vehicles during working hours. They'll be pulled together so that they can use them during the course of their, during the course of their work.
Yeah, but is the implementation going well?
Well, I believe the Minister of Finance that is really spearheading it to also really say whether it is going well or not.
We spoke to him earlier on before the implementation process.
Yes.
Okay. Now we can move on. The Israeli ambassador was here just a week ago. What special interest has Israel in the Gambia?
Well, Israel and Gambia, we share certain common interests. Israel, Foreign Minister Israel has not come here to lobby the Gambia on any specific political issue that is of interest to Israel. We had established diplomatic relationship with Israel since 1965 when the country became independent, and this diplomatic relationship has not been severed. And we cooperate, with Israel in many areas. Agriculture, Israel has a lot of potential, in in agriculture. They have a lot of expertise.
The Palestinian issue, where does the Gambia stand?
Well, the Palestinian issue, Gambia has never compromised its position on Palestinian. Is that the Palestinians are entitled, as of right, to self-determination and of their country, and that is an issue that
you've put that to Israel.
Of course, Israel knows that. Israel knows that, and of course that's why I say that I have not come here to do anything with any political issues. And of course, I mean, we know that Israel has a relationship, with many countries, in the Muslim world, even in the Middle East, in the Gulf states. They are doing business with them, and we cannot. If our interest requires it to do business with Israel in any particular sector, other than the issue of Palestine, we'll certainly, we'll certainly play ball with them, and this is what we are doing.
I'm gonna ask a personal question. You suffered tremendously under the former government. Do you wholeheartedly forgive President Jammeh for what happened in the past?
When I went out of prison, I said so.
Still stand by that?
I said so.
How do you want to see
it? For me, against me personally.
Against you personally?
Yeah, but those children, April 10 and 11, I don't think anybody should really brush that aside. Not only President Jammeh, but all those who took part in the execution and giving orders to shoot those children. I think they should really be called on to explain why they did that. That is unpardonable, and the indemnity bill that was presented to the National Assembly to indemnify the perpetrators of those heinous crimes, those children who were at their flowering age, to indemnify them for their heinous acts, I think it's unpardonable. For the National Assembly, that National Assembly should be held accountable. But the good thing is that the indemnification does not extend, in my view, to neutralize or as it were, exonerate them from criminal responsibility. For me, it was just getting them exonerated from civil responsibility, because that's the whole tenor of the Indemnity Act.
That's going to take a lot of deciphering by lawyers. Going to be a very complicated issue. Yes. Now, coming to constitutional reform, the law that took you to jail is still valid. How are we going to speed up the constitutional reform process? Because there are many laws, including the one you mentioned here, which are still valid.
Well, you see, the law is the Public Order Act that took me to court. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with the revision of the Constitution. I mean, it's just simple repeal the provisions. Repeal those provisions, or amend those provisions in a way that will not impinge on the rights of citizens to demonstrate or to demonstrate or to hold rallies. Yes, in fact, what that law prohibits is to hold a public meeting, use a public address system without a permit.
And that law is still valid?
It is still valid. It is still valid. Yes, it is still valid. And
is there an urgency to repeal it or to reform it?
Well, for some it may be a matter of urgency, and for others it might not be a matter of urgency. What I believe is that you should not start picking up laws here and there and then repealing them. I think that should be a holistic review. I mean, the Attorney General has just stated that the obnoxious media laws will be repealed. And of course, any law that impedes the exercise of freedom, under the Constitution, I believe, will also be repealed. And I want to say that I do not think the Attorney General's decision, or the government of Gambia's decision, to repeal any of the laws, particularly the one you referred to, should be done because I have gone to jail pursuant to that law, because I do not think.
You challenged the law in court.
I did.
And you lost.
I did. Yes, I did. But what I'm saying is that it should be on principle, not because I went to jail, on the application of that law. I want to divorce it from me as an individual. It should be a matter of principle.
Okay. We go to the local government elections. Is it likely, or are we going to see an alliance between the UDP, GMC, and NRP?
Well, we do not rule out anything. Yeah, we do not rule out anything.
Alliance with APRC?
Of course not. People who have destroyed the local government administration, the autonomy of local government administration in this country, they've destroyed it. I mean, going into alliance with them is really accepting that, the way they were conducting the affairs of this country is right. And we can, it's unimaginable. We'll never degenerate to their position when we go into an alliance with APRs.
Even if they reform their principles?
We will not go into alliance. We will not degenerate to that position. I mean, we are not. We are not. That politically desperate to go into an alliance with APRC.
You've been calling for democracy for so long. For more than 20 years, you've been in the forefront. Now you are head of the UDP, which is, by all accounts, the largest party. When will you pass leadership to the younger generation of the UDP?
Let the younger generation come on.
They are not coming.
Let them come on.
They are not coming.
Well, they are not coming in the way that we want them to come. Let them come on. Let them come on, so that at the next Congress, at future Congresses, they can take over the leadership. I have always said that I want the younger people to come on, and that the only way that they could take over leadership of the party or any party is to be members of those parties. You do not expect us to go in the street and to go up and say, Mr. C, come, we want to make you the secretary of the party, because we do not know in the first place whether you espouse the ideas of the United Democratic Party. So we will not go and handpick people.
You want people to come?
Let them come and manifest their interest. And of course get into the fold of the party and work, within and for the party. Then of course, I mean, we are not there in the leading the party till death do us part. No.
Does that mean, should a younger person present himself now, you are likely to step down for that guy?
Well, go to the Congress, younger party comes in, with vision, which you to present to the party membership, and of course, we'll tap them.
I'm going to ask you a question that has been asked over and over. Are you still interested in being president of the Gambia?
You see, my pursuit all these years was really not that by hook or by crook I'll be president of the Gambia. I'm not desperate to be the president of this country. What I have always been desperate about was that there must be a change in the way and manner this country is administered. That democracy.
Have we got that change?
That democracy and the rule of law must be enthroned.
Are we in that stage now?
Well, I think we are reasonably working towards that. Towards that goal, and this is why, the last question had, the other question had, this is why younger people have to come in.
So that means
take over the leadership.
That means your job is now done. You're no longer interested.
But what I'm saying is that I'm interested really in seeing democracy and the rule of law enthroned in this country, and this we are working on.
And we are doing very well. That means you are no longer interested.
We are doing very well, And my interest or no interest in becoming president of this country is that I am not desperate to be the president of this country.
Can we take that to be now? You are no longer interested in being president.
I'm not desperate to be the president of this country.
Okay, we can move on. As foreign minister, you've been to China.
Twice.
What concrete terms have you signed with China concerning the Gambia's development? They've been helping other countries in infrastructure and other things.
Well, when we returned from China, you just saw me signing some, last trip you saw me signing some documents there, in the first place, we have signed a memorandum that establishes a mechanism for consultations between the two governments. And of course, we also signed a gratuitous gift. Bridging, to bridge the Basse Wuli. Yeah. Koina, Fatoto, Pasamas. To bridge it. And then also the road from Basse to Koina, which was $75 million. Free gift.
So that's grant.
That's a grant to the Gambia.
Okay.
And of course, because since you have asked about China, and of course before then we have the ICC, a $50 million grant, and currently they have Chinese doctors, who are offering their professional services.
What is China asking in return for all this support to the Gambia?
China's grants is unconditional.
They're not asking for anything?
They are not asking for any condition. It's unconditional. Yes, it's unconditional. Yes.
It's unconditional?
Unconditional.
Their relations with Sri Lanka, they've been supporting Sri Lanka.
With China?
China for many decades. They built ports, they did so many wonderful things down there. On conditions like what they tell you, it is unconditional. And they nearly bankrupt the country now.
Well,
are you not worried? Are you not worried that China...
I do not. In what way? They have nearly bankrupt.
Yeah, because they come and tell you, we are not asking for anything, but they have commercial interests. When they come, they say they want to do something like business. Obviously, you will open your doors to them, because they'll build your highways, your bridges, or whatever. In the end, they control the economy. Are you not worried?
Well, we are not worried about that, because we can always guard ourselves against that.
How?
Whatever is done by negotiating conditions that and terms that are favorable to us.
Closer home in Zambia, this is a similar problem.
What I'm saying that if any such occasion arises, we will negotiate in ways that will be favorable to the Gambia. We are not just to give away because you built us an ICC and a $75 million road and bridge projects. That we lead to the destruction of Gambia's economy, or as you said, quote unquote bankrupt the country. And I'm not sure whether Sri Lanka has been made bankrupt. I'm not sure of that, by China. But what I'm saying is that will not happen to us.
Yeah. Back to politics. 2-term limit. What is your position? 2-term limit for the presidency.
Well, I think that has been the call by Gambians, even when the Constitution, the 1997 Constitution, when it was being crafted. That is what Gambians asked for. 2 terms of 5 years each. Yeah, so that after 2 terms, you cannot
run again.
You cannot run again. It doesn't, of course, prevent one running for 5 years. Maybe at the elections you are defeated, and then try your chance again for another 5 years. It does not really take away.
It should be 2 consecutive. You cannot run for 2 consecutive.
You cannot run for 2 consecutive terms, and I think there's a lot of sense in that. It affords stability, and within the party that one belongs, and even with other parties that is not in government. They know that President Y will be out at the end of 10 years.
What about
even within your party.
The second round?
Well, second round is also one that is gaining currency, in many places, particularly in Africa.
Currently, we have the simple majority system.
I know. What I'm saying, that the second round is really gaining currency in many countries, particularly in Africa. In the United Kingdom, you don't have a second round. In the United States, you don't have a second round. And let me say, India, in this.
Which one do you favor? Simple majority or?
Well, because of the infancy of our democratic practices, I think a second round is needed, is essential. But when we go on and we mature, then really, then you can think of doing away with it, because I mean all these places I've referred to, they are very mature democracies, and the elections are held, you know, in a atmosphere that is, you know, conforms with the democratic norms, and that there are no, well, I wouldn't say there are no, but there are no obvious, you know, manipulations of the electoral process. And of course, you know, the second round of voting, this disadvantage is that, you know, within, I mean, between the first round and the second round, period is so short, and it also puts the leading parties at some disadvantage, because the other parties that you will be really calling, whose support you will be looking for, can impose unreasonable conditions for their support.
Okay, we're running out of time, but we're going to finish with this one. Tens of thousands of people support you, but equally you have so many detractors. What do you say to them?
Well, but this is politics. You know, so you cannot, you should expect opponents and others who really, for some reason or the other, do not have any admiration for you, to just begin to...
Why do you think that is so?
Well, it will be difficult for me to guess. Those who are the detractors, I think they should give their reasons. I mean, I don't know whether they are detractors, or I prefer calling them those who do not support UDP. You know, I mean, they should know their reason. I cannot guess for them, because I might be wrong.
Honorable Ousainou Darboe, Minister for Foreign Affairs, thank you very much for being on the checkpoint.
My pleasure.
Thank you.